Well, let's talk now to Douglas Yates, who's a Doctor of Political Science at the American Graduate School in Paris. Welcome to the programme, Douglas. So are we at the point where President Macron's government could actually end up falling on one of these confidence votes?
Well, it's interesting. In absolute numbers, the opposition outnumbers the government. But unfortunately, the opposition is divided between the right and the left. And so far, the extreme left formation, NUPES, which could create enough of a majority to overthrow the government, refuses to vote with Marine Le Pen. And it was Marine Le Pen and Le Rassemblement National that tabled this motion of censure. So you need an absolute majority to win. And Elizabeth Borne and her government have already passed through two such motions. So far this technique's work. I wouldn't be surprised to see her survive this motion, but she might be replaced by Macron.
Clearly damaging, though, for Macron, whatever the result. Why is he so determined to stake his career on this particular issue surrounding pension reform?
Yeah, well, you know, before his re-election campaign, he promised to do this, and he ended up losing his majority in Parliament because of this promise. And he stubbornly proceeded, and people don't understand because it doesn't make good political sense. But if you understand that he's a finance guy, that this was the man who was the finance minister, who can see the danger to France, which has a $3 trillion debt and pays $51 billion a year on loans. He sees the danger of rising interest rates, 3–4%. If you can imagine what 3 or 4% mean, he's estimated that if they don't reform pensions, there will be 250 to 500 billion euros more in debt over the next 2 decades. So he wants to balance the budget and send a strong message to financial markets. And he's willing to take the political costs in exchange for that.
Raising the retirement age is an issue that applies around the world, people living longer. Why is it so difficult in France to up that retirement age?
Well, first, they've got a big public sector. And a lot of the retirements we're talking about are retirements in the public sector, public transportation, people who, you know, are firemen, people who work in offices at the various administrative staffs. And those people have fairly good retirement. They've got a minimum retirement age that's reasonable. If they want to take it, they can, and a maximum retirement age after which they won't be penalized. And they're the most highly organized groups in society. But the reality is, outside in the private sector, only 1/3 of French people over the age of 60 even have a job. So there's also the sense of injustice. There are 42 different retirement schemes here. And Macron had tried in 2017 to create one system. It failed. And so he's using this tool of raising the retirement age. People don't quite understand the reform, but there's only 2 ways to do it. And he was refused the first way, which would create one retirement scheme for everyone, because that was politically unpopular with the privileged groups. And so he's using the other way, which is raise the retirement age for everyone. And without people understanding what they're getting in exchange, and with a kind of distrust, they feel it's unjust. And that's why it's hard. It's not the facts, but the feeling, the optics, the perception of injustice.
Douglas, great to get your thoughts today. Thank you for joining us. That's Douglas Yates from the American Graduate School in Paris.